Good morning. I'm Dr. Lisa Lindsay Wicker, your host today, as we are weekly on the Career Mastered Inside Career Success Show. Welcome. I'm ecstatic to talk with you again today about women in the marketplace, women who celebrate each other, women who support one another, women who lift one another, and women who are in the marketplace compelling themselves to do the business of business. We're here today with a wonderful honoree this year that we are going to talk with her about her career. But before we begin, I always give you the background of Career Master. Career Master started over 10 years ago in Detroit. We launched in that market with over 500 women in a summit, as well as the honoree show. And then we decided Charlotte was going to be home, and Charlotte was next, along with New York. In 2018, we started the Career Master magazine. This summer actually is on its way, but we still have spring copies. On our spring magazine cover is Talia Fox. Talia is the CEO of Kusai Global Incorporated, a training leadership company, who talked with us at the beginning of our Career Master Inside Success shows. She was one of the first to talk with us about intentional connections. Career Mastered this year's theme is making connections. It starts with her. And we have done that throughout the year. We have just completed our second Brunch with the Masters in Charlotte, North Carolina, where we hosted close to 100 women, with April Simpkins being the honoree this year for resilient leadership. We had a panel discussion. We were at the Myers Park Country Club with the backdrop of the ambiance of women overlooking a golf course and having a wonderful conversation about leadership, about networking, about our mental health and our physical health, and making sure that we are there in a community to support one another. We also this year, and actually this month, May has just been a whirlwind. But this month, we also had the historical moment at the New York Stock Exchange, where we took 20 delegates from the Career Master Leadership program to be with us on the stock exchange floor. What a wonderful experience. During that program, where we had an opportunity to meet Pat Healy, she signed her book for us, Meet 100 People, which is a wonderful book. So if you don't have it, go out and get it. It tells you exactly some of the key strategies that she used in meeting people and leveraging her career. While it's no joke, she is an investor. She has also been a general manager of a major company. And again, she's given us some tips for how you meet people and you use those opportunities to have reciprocity and helping others. And so we enjoyed that opportunity, and we want to thank the leadership, Suzanne Brown and her team at the New York Stock Exchange, for hosting us for that event. And now we're on our way to Detroit. Well, what can I say? It's sold out. There's not another person that we can get into the room, but we are going to be at the Detroit Athletic Club on Tuesday, May the 2nd, with none other than multi-award-winning civil rights attorney, Ariva Martin. So if you haven't had an opportunity to get to know Ariva, we're going to have her right front and center in Detroit. She's been the expert consultant on legal matters for the Dr. Phil show. She's actually a CNN contributor. She's a host of her own talk show and owner of Martin and Martin legal firm. So we are in for a treat when we have an opportunity for me personally to have a fireside chat with Ariva in a sold out venue at the Detroit Athletic Club. And again, we're excited about what we're doing. Before I bring on my visitor and my guest, special guest, her name is Veronica Pearson. I wanted to let you know that if you're interested in becoming an ambassador for the Brunch with the Masters series in a city that you're in where we haven't been, just contact us at info@careermaster.com, and we can talk with you about what that takes and how you can become that ambassador to bring the Brunch with the Masters to your city, where you help women connect, where you help women understand the benefits of community and the collective thought processes that we have when we come together. And so I just ask you to consider that opportunity because it's great. And so now I will bring on our guest, Miss Veronica Pearson. Welcome, Veronica.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi. Hello, everyone.
How are you? I
Hi.
thank you this morning for joining us, and I would like to introduce you to our audience. And so I'm going to do the official uh, bio, and then we'll get into our conversation. Again, this program is about dialoguing and making connections, and we're just going to talk to Veronica today about shaping the future of women in media. Today's guest, Veronica Pearson, is the founder and CEO of Dammi Media, a multifaceted media company based in Charlotte, North Carolina. With over 20 years' experience as a filmmaker, writer, director, producer, and branding expert, she has led projects that have collectively grossed over 600 million globally and garnered hundreds of millions of streams. Her collaborations span major platforms and companies including Sony and the Oprah Winfrey Show, the OWN Network. Beyond her media, though, endeavors, Veronica is passionate advocate for authentic storytelling and commitment and community empowerment. Through her nonprofit initiative, Rebrand Black, she works to enable Black individuals to control and share their narratives worldwide. Her commitment to social impact is further demonstrated by her efforts to provide communities for individuals with criminal records, offering them a second chance through employment by her company. I won't hold you any longer. I'll let her tell her own story. Welcome to the show, Veronica.
Welcome, welcome. Like y'all work with me because anytime I'm doing these things, I'll be like, do I look at the camera? Do I look at me? Do I
Hey, don't worry. Believe me, you look wonderful. I can tell you what I see. I see a wonderful, beautiful face, and you are looking at the camera.
so
So, what
okay.
we're going to do is start actually just to understand your own personal story. What inspired you to pursue a career in media and storytelling?
Well, in high school, well, all through and all of my, secondary post grade from elementary, middle, and high school, I was always a prolific writer and a prolific reader. And then my mother, she didn't know, I was born in Charleston, South Carolina. She had no idea about children consuming books on that level and different things like that. And so I was always that person that wanted to write and tell a story. And so I was doing in-depth papers in middle school about abortion, about Black community activism and everything when I was in middle school. And so it was always either fashion or something to do with television. Because I realized later on as I got older, I must have never had a bad time, Lisa. Because I watched everything from Hunter that came on 11, 12 at night. I watched HBO. We had cable. I watched all that stuff. So it was always the idea of storytelling. So I went into fashion design first, but the art of storytelling would always pull me, whether I'm writing articles, whatever. And so when I decided, I said, I don't want to write books, even though I was reading everything under the sun. I said, no, I want to see the end game, which was on television or now, streaming services. So that's when I started shifting from fashion design. I owned a clothing boutique. I launched a whole line that was sold globally and everything. And I said, I'm done. I want to go into this section. And so that's what I transitioned to, like using some of my connections, going on sets as an intern. And people was like, you an intern? And I was like, yeah, because wanted to learn every single part of what we were doing. And so I'm one of those people who I didn't realize it at the time, but getting in this industry, they was like, Veronica, you're a dual because you understand business and the artistic part. A lot of us can't do that. It's just naturally what it is. We freeze on one part when we got to do the other.
Okay.
And so I'm always looking at art as a control your narrative. So I've always said we are in the business of that, like we're emotional, we're selling emotional, pretty much marketing. And so I love it, love storytelling, love controlling a narrative, especially if it's an authentic one and giving voice to that. So that's what migrated. Fashion for me is a story. I was like, I said, still a story. A movie is still a story. A person's life is still a story. So it all goes under that. It's telling a story, controlling that narrative.
So, tell us about your name of your company, pronounce it, and then tell us what's the story behind the name.
So the name of my company is called Dammi, but Southern people was like, is it Dammi? So
Yeah.
so it's Dammi. And I was stationed in Italy for a couple years. And so when
Were you in the
I was in the
service?
Air Force, yes, I was in the Air Force. And so when I got stationed in Italy, one of the things that you will realize going over there is like those Italian men loved Black women. And so I had to learn real quick Italian. I knew French because my idea was to live in Paris for years, but then I ended up getting stationed over there. And so I had to learn the saying "Dammi espacio," and it meant like back up, give me space, because they would be on you like this, Lisa. And
Yeah.
I was like, give me space. And so "Dammi" means to give. And so I was like, that's what I wanted my company to always do. No matter what project or client or endeavor we took on, I wanted to give. So
And
that's where I got it from.
and your company is a global media company. What has been the biggest challenge you face in launching this company?
Um, well, I'm not a like per se challenge person. I look at, okay, if I can't go through that door, how do I kick this window in? That's always been me.
Mhm.
And so because you're going to face different challenges with different things, but I said, okay, how do I control that challenge
Yeah.
enough where I can make it work in my favor, or say, okay, that's not even my challenge. That's something somebody else put on me. So I'm gonna shift you to the left.
Yeah.
So it's either, but it's the typical things with any business, whether it was money or finances, but I found ways to do what I needed to do because
Mhm.
the resourceful person, or if it was somebody perception, because I look younger than what I actually am. So
Yeah.
you have to go in the room, and then you said, okay, am I not even just being a woman or being black? Because I think kind of way black women are always perceived a little different. Like we've always been in the workforce, so
Mhm.
not so much as can they do the job or why they're here. It's like, okay, let's see they qualified. So it's type.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
because I've always owned my own business, I tell people, who you gonna fire? You call me. I didn't call you. You call me.
I love it. So you know what? I'm intrigued by the fact that you chose to go to the Air Force. Why
Yeah.
that part of the armed services, and what was that experience like?
Well, honestly, I wanted to pay for school.
Okay.
And so once I put my mind to something, we ain't shaking it. We going, because I'm a person, and this is why I try to tell people even on panels, don't look at what you got to go through to get to your end game. Keep your focus on your end game. That's how I've always been. I've raised my children that way. Keep your focus on your end game. So when I decided to go in the military, my mother was freaking out because she was like, she watched all them old military movies like Platoon, all that stuff. She was like, you don't even like getting up early. You like your nails done. I said, but I'm a person. I'm going to do what I need to do. So when I took the ASVAB, which is a military test, your scores kind of determine what branch they put you in. So, and for the Air Force take the people that score the highest.
Wow.
And so I've always been a very intelligent person, even as a child. So they tested me when I was in middle school, and no, elementary to middle, and my IQ was 148. And if
Wow.
people look, and my mother, they wanted to skip me several grades. My mother said, no, my baby too short because I'm 5'1". So imagine me back then. All she thinks is, I don't want my baby with them big kids. She didn't understand the ramifications of what they were really telling her. And
Yes.
so when I scored that high, it was like, oh, you're for the Air Force. And so I ended up going into the Air Force, going into information systems, and
Mm.
making it work. I was like, hey, I need to pay for school. Let's go. And I'm gonna travel on y'all dime.
Yes. Yes. And you got a chance to
I
see
need to
the
do.
world, right?
Yeah,
How
and
many,
met friends that I'm still friends with 30 years later. Still
well, how
friends.
many different places did you go? How were you
Um,
stationed? Tell me.
I was stationed in two main places, but I was the person who jumped on every TDY. So that's a temporary duty station.
Okay.
And anytime they had a TDY, I was going, whether that's Iraq, Ireland, doing the Kosovo scrimmage in Greece, doing Egypt. Wherever they wanted me to go, I was going, along with traveling. So
Yes.
I took every TDY I could. And
Wow.
I was like, let me go do this. And I never was worried about the atmosphere. I said, just respect your environment. If I have to cover my head, I covered my head. If I have to cross my legs a certain way, because you have to respect where you're going. It's
Yes.
these people's country.
Yes.
And so, but when it taught you a lot about politics, and where I was stationed at, which was NATO in Italy.
Mm.
So the department I worked in, I was the only female in the room, and I was the only black female in
Yeah.
that room.
I can
And
see.
this is in NATO. We have every single one of our allies that's at NATO. So I'm
Yeah.
in a room with from Hungarian to German to Spanish to every different military branch in here from different countries. And
Mhm.
I'm sitting there looking at this, from that space through these eyes of, kind of pissing contests among
Yeah.
men,
Yeah.
so to
Yeah.
speak. And it taught you a lot more. Like I already learned certain things growing up in Charleston with my mom teaching me and my family teaching me these things. I said, you just learn other sides of how it's the same coin, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I had a great time.
Well, your success is pretty wonderful in terms of your media company, in terms of your ability to go and get your education through going through the services. I mean, you picked some major paths, right?
Mhm.
And so, what I would like people to hear from you is, in terms of defining your success, how do you define success? Because you were nominated as a 2025 National Career Master honoree
Mhm.
for your work and the impact that you're doing. How do you define success, and what does that look like for you when you're telling other people some of the things to look for?
For me, success, well, I'll go first with the second question first.
Okay.
When you have to define your idea of success for you, I can tell you what I believe and the way what I look for as success, but you have to decide for yourself what
Yeah.
success means to you. And that means you got to go deep and discern who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't know themselves and accept who they truly are. Whether if you somebody who say you selfish, own your selfishness. If you say if you a giver, own being a giver. I
Yes.
said you have to own these things about yourself. And that'll let you know what your idea of happiness and success looks like. And for me, if I'm feeding into people, that's my idea of success. Like if I'm feeding into people and they're able to walk away from something, that's why anytime people see me at events, even events I throw, I'm a host of, like even my assistants, they'll be like, "Oh, did you eat, Miss Pearson? Did you eat?" And I'm like, "I'm fine," because I'm literally watching the room. Even if it's like a
Yes.
personal event I throw at my house or something
Sound
like
like
that.
me.
Yeah,
I didn't
I'm
eat that.
watching the room.
I
Yeah,
didn't eat at the last event. I didn't eat. I didn't get to do anything. I
because
get.
I want to make sure you're good. Like, and that's what feeds me. If Lisa comes back to me, she says, "Oh, because like I'm the founder of the Rich Auntie Brunch,
Yeah.
and that's a sold out event we always have." And they come to me and they be like, "Girl, oh my God, I'm telling everybody about this event. I had a good time, and I'm still friends with this person. Me and this person went to business together. Me, I love that because that means I'm being a good steward of my time and
Yes.
yours." When
Yes.
you waste away my time, we
Yes.
good. I was like,
Yes.
"Nah, I'm good. I'm find something else to do." But my success to me is feeding into people and knowing I did it in whatever spaces I needed to do it in.
I
That's
love
it.
it. I
The
love
money
it.
gonna come. The
Oh,
accolades gonna come. I was like, that's gonna come. Oh, I'm gonna get it.
yeah. 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 I can believe that. Now, when we talk about success, I want you to frame legacy for me in
Mhm,
terms of what you would like when you're 90 years old, sitting
mhm.
in a rocking chair somewhere, and you're talking to your great great grandkids. What do you want them to be knowledgeable about their grandmother Veronica?
I want them to look at my grandma like, damn, she's so fine. I was like, that's what they gonna say at 90. I'm still rocking.
Girl,
That's
yeah.
what I'm like. And then I want them to see the legacy trail I left for them to hopefully they've taken up the mantle.
Yes.
Because for me personally, I tell people, I said, my goal for me personally, I said, is for me to move the needle for African Americans at least by 60% on my own.
Got it.
And that's mentally, financially, spiritually what we supposed to have and do in this world. And so that's my legacy. If you can sit there and say, okay, that woman right there, you could put with some picture somebody got me on the wall of a building and say she did this. Now we can move on those shoulders. Now we can do these things like that because all of these things here, you're here to serve. Once you got the car, the house, and all the trappings, what is left? You're
Yes.
here to be of service, whether that's to your family, whether that's to the community, however you define that service for yourself. I
It's true.
said, you're here. So I want them to look at me and say, man, look at all the stuff my grandmother did to put people in a position so they can do what they're supposed to do before
Right.
they leave here. Because
Right.
some of us, people aren't there because we aren't there.
Yes. That's true.
So that's the legacy I want. Like, did I put people in position that was supposed to be there? Did
Yes.
I do what I was supposed to do? You
Hmm.
know, and
Hmm.
that's for me. The other stuff is going to come. The worry that comes with, am I doing it right?
You're
Am
right.
I doing it this? I was like, you gotta let that go.
I mean, snap, because at the end of the day, people are so worried about themselves. But at the turn of getting centered and being mature, we realize that this walk is not about us.
It's not about us. I had to tell somebody, I said, do you know Jesus was self-centered?
Yeah.
And she was arguing with me. She was like, no, he wasn't. No. I said, listen. When them people was talking to Jesus, he just dip out. And
Yeah.
they'd be like, where'd he go? Where Jesus? Where Jesus? Because he had to be about his father's business. It was never
Right.
about us. It was
Right.
about his father's business. We just happened to get miracles and blessings along the way, but it was always about him being about his father's business. And I
Yes.
said, so sometimes you have to know when to be self-centered because that's the only way you're going to hear what business you need to be about.
Bingo. Bingo. I love it. I love it. Well, taking on from that, what is one of the most proudest projects or moments in Dammi
Mhm,
that you have thought about
mhm,
and know that it was impactful? Just a proud moment and the impact that it
mhm.
perhaps had.
Ooh, it's a couple. It's so many. I'm trying to think of this one in particular. I don't know. It just I don't know. I think just connecting people. That's all I can say is like my proudest moments of connecting people where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And seeing like and they're seeing things, my kids see things that I worked on and they're proud. And they're
Yes.
like, oh man, my mom. So to them, this is everyday thing. Them knowing people or seeing people or being in environments. But I think just connecting people, like I don't have one particular proud moment.
Yes.
I just have like, oh, I did that. Like I'm a real good person. I'm liking, did I finish it? You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Oh, that's a
And
good.
so
That's a good.
it's not one particular one. So
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
well, I have one. I
Mhm.
have one. You just launched a book.
Yes, yes.
So sometimes we forget, we don't want to be like all about us, but let's tell
Mhm.
people how the book, why you wrote it, and what you want people to get from it.
Okay, so the book, we went in a pre-launch sales yesterday. So we're aiming for those New York Times bestseller numbers. So that's
Right.
my goal. That's my goal.
That's what we're getting. That's what we're getting. Okay.
That's my goal. So the title of the book is Why You Shouldn't Eat from Some White People. And I
Okay.
know people like, what she say? So yeah, the title of the book is Why You Shouldn't Eat from Some White People. And it's like a political book for us.
Okay.
And so what the book does is tell us the systems that got us here and how we played a part in it. And that's for Black people. So the book isn't attacking white people. But it's like, okay, Black people, these are the systems that got us here. These are how we played into it. And then it's for white people to understand too, these are the systems that got us here. And this is how you played into it.
Yes.
And then how we can move from here. Because I'm never a person who empowers people per se. I'm a person who gives you strategies to implement. Because you can get hyped for a minute and then you go about your business in a day or two and forgot what you're supposed to do. So after each chapter, we give strategies on how they can change it, how they can implement it from mindset to finances to marriage. There are chapters like, marriages for white people, Black men left Black men behind, white people, this is for you. Those type
Yeah.
of chapters.
Yeah.
And because what the title came from, and just to give it a quick background, when people say, where'd you get that title from? The book came from the fact that every time we learned a law or a bill or certain industries as Black people in America, they would change. So when we learned about homesteading act or real estate, when we learned about accredited investment, when we learned about bankruptcy laws, when we learned about entrepreneurship, they were always adding these different laws as roadblocks. And so I tied that back to my childhood. My mother had this white best friend named Sandra, and Sandra would cook my mother food and bring it over to the house. And my mom would cook too, and Sandra would eat my mother's cooking. My mother never ate her cooking. My mother would throw it in the trash. And
What?
so, and I got older, I asked my mom, I said, why, mom, Sandra's your friend. Why do you never eat her cooking? My mom said, let me tell you, don't you ever eat from white people. She said, either they're nasty or they can't cook. That's what my mother said. And
Wow.
then I talked to my grandmother who taught my mother that. Because my grandmother said, yeah, I taught my children that. Don't they take anything from white people? Because my grandmother grew up in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s. And she said, if they gave us anything, they could say we stole it. And then we could be killed, we could be hurt, all of this. So she taught my mother and my aunts and uncles, don't they take anything from white people? Because she said, they said we stole it. We were never going to get our just due because they were going to believe the white person. But I talked to a lot of older Black people, and they were the first ones to integrate their neighborhood. They're the first ones to integrate businesses. And they said they saw that, and that's what they trained their children not to do either. And these people didn't know each other, because one woman, her and her husband was the first Black to integrate their community. And the neighbor gave her kids rotten meat sandwiches. And
Wow.
so she was like, she said, so I told my kids, don't you ever take anything from them. And so when I thought about the same way the laws get circumvented through white supremacy, through patriarchal stuff, that's the same mechanism. It's like you go to learn, you go to eat from something, and then they'll change it up. And so that's what the title of the book was, Why You Shouldn't Eat from Some White People. Because
Wow.
I wanted people to see how we played into these roles of what we have now, and how, like I told you earlier, we can turn 11-day trip to 40 years like they did in the Bible, because we're not learning. And
Wow.
sometimes that's because people don't speak truth to certain things.
Well, I tell you what, I would tell you that when I listen to you and I hear you, I think environmentally, where we are and where we come from makes a difference in how you have a perspective. Now, you have a global view because of your being in the military. So you had a chance to travel the world, to see the world, to understand the world. And I told you I was reared in Mississippi, where I had a chance to see segregation and live in segregation. But I ended up going to Michigan State University, which is one of the largest universities in the Big Ten conference. Where I had a chance to change my perspective was there, because I was at an integrated college, a wonderful 45,000 people, like a city.
Mm-hmm.
And this little girl from the South had to figure out how to navigate. Some of my best friends were white and are. And so when I hear that, I think, okay, is it something that I can learn from the book? I think so. But I also have a perspective myself that you can eat from white people because in some instances, right, they are integrated in our families. They are
Mhm.
part of who we are. And I learned as a little girl, because my mom worked in the hospital, and when I was young, I couldn't go through her work door through the front door. I had
Mhm.
to go through the back. And when I learned how to spell Mississippi from one of her colleagues who was white. And what she taught me, my mom, was that you have to take each person for who they are, one by one.
Mhm.
That I could not take the whole group of population and say they are this or that, but I had to learn to accept each person, and that includes the Black people, one by one. Yeah,
Look.
okay. And so my philosophy has always been I give people the benefit of the doubt until they show me differently.
Mhm.
And then when they show me differently, then I need to believe what they showed me, right? And so I think that your book, I'm going to buy it. I need to see it. I need to hear it from the perspective that you have.
Mhm.
And then I need to realize that that perspective is the environment by which you came, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And people have to understand that. But right now it's launched and it's pre-sales. And how are the sales going?
Oh, they're going fantastic. And that was one of the things, like when you say that, because my mother was an in-home caregiver. All her clients were white Jewish people.
Okay.
And so I grew up with their kids. I grew up with their sons trying to date me. I'm still friends with some of them right now, you
Yes.
know. And that's was the reason why I said some, because I was like, when you look at some of the white people who I do know, who I've dated, who I've, been around, I said, you look at people from that perspective of how are you moving? Because the fact that my mother and this woman were still friends,
Yeah.
but she knew that line of
Yeah.
how she was raised and the reason why. Like she was able to see Sandra for who Sandra was as a person.
Yeah.
But that line taught her, I still have to see you for who you are. And that's the same thing with Sandra. Sandra saw my mother for she still was a Black woman, and she probably had all her Southern stuff in her head when she saw my mother, but she still was friends with my mother.
Yeah.
And that's the thing we have to realize. Like the pre-sales are going fantastic. And I was like, and that's why the book, it tells about how white people moved with us, who were trying to, help us, or who were trying to move with us, and how they are sometimes a victim of this system because they don't even realize it themselves.
Yeah.
And Black people got to be accountable, because I'm like, you got to be accountable, because that book ain't about white people, it's about you.
Yeah. It's about
and and
okay.
learning history of how we're repeating it. And I
Yes.
think that's why the sales are going great, because people know, like a lot of people say, I know it's you, so I know where it's coming from,
Yeah. Mhm.
and that's why I'm like, I love the sales going good. So
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to pick up a copy. What I do know is that in these times,
Mhm.
particularly as you know,
Yeah.
since the beginning in January with the changes that are going on, I think more than ever, this is a time for collective community.
Yes.
That no matter where you come from, whether you're white, Black, Asian, who cares?
Mhm.
We all are dealing with the same environment.
Yeah.
And in that environment, what we need most is peace. And
Look. Ooh.
yeah. And then what we need, secondly, is love.
Yeah.
And the love then will dissipate all the challenges that are coming across the media and the television and
Yeah.
all the world and the things that people are experiencing, that in our own communities where we are, because that's how I was raised in the
Mhm.
segregated South by community of people.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah,
That
your grandmama, everybody who down the street. Yeah, same thing. Same thing.
everybody, even the lady that my mom worked with who taught me how to spell Mississippi at MI cricket letter,
Yeah.
back home, back
Mhm.
guy, okay?
Yep.
She was white, but she was part of my community.
Yeah.
And I will say that when we have those lenses, that no matter who and what you come from, it's all about wrong and right.
And that's exactly what it is. Like when I look at the people that my mother, like they looked at me as their one of their kids. Like
Yes.
Miss Betty them loved me. Like they be like, girl, your mama be so proud, all of these things. I said, I think for me, it's like taking that fog of the lies that they told us off
Ye
our eyes. And
yes.
sometimes people have to learn the history. Like I have some of my white friends, they'll call me, they be like, tell them what you told me, Veronica. Because I told people, Black people years ago, I said, why are you mad at white people? Not understanding your history when they were feed the same mess you were fed.
Yeah.
They will feed the same lies. They will feed the same circumventing truth about history as you were. So you looking at them to know the facts when they were fed and they were in the same schools you were in. I'm sorry. They were in the same schools you were in. They were in the same environments you were in to learn the same mess they taught you. Right. And so our job is to say, how do we do better? Because who wants to live in anxiousness? Who wants to live in this fear mongering and this aggravation all the time? I said, because as long as I keep you aggravated and fearful and anxious with me, you are not going to know the real problem to solve it. Well, that's what I'm hoping it does.
Well, we hope that it solves the problem, but more importantly, I appreciate your authenticity. Thank you. The fact that Veronica is in Charlotte, North Carolina. I had a chance to meet her last week at the Charlotte Conversation, but she has this new book, and I'm going to ask her a couple of questions about her affirmation. Like, what is your favorite quote? And what do you want to leave people with in terms of something positive about what's next for you?
Right. My favorite quotes, two by my grandmother. She said, one, this is not a dress rehearsal. You better live this life to the fullest. Oh, and her second quote was, you are going to be dead a lot longer than you're going to be alive.
Yes.
So you better live this life to the fullest.
Wonderful.
So let's see. What did you say? My favorite quote.
What's next for you?
What's next for me, of course, the book launch, but also we have a couple of film projects that's coming up. We have the Rich Auntie Brunch was on tour. So our next stop is Minneapolis for the brunch, July 26th, and those tickets are on sale. We have, let's see, films. We have the Rich Auntie Brunch, the book tour, of course, that's coming into play, which we have a private dinner afterwards for the community leaders and different things like that. And just being a great person. My last child is graduating high school. Some of them are come out of college. So just enjoying life.
Yes.
And being happy in it, no matter what that means for me. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm looking forward to. Like, what's God's next endeavor for me?
And then how do people follow you?
So you can follow me through all social channels under Dammi Media, which is DAMMI Media. So that's on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. And you can go to dammimedia.com, DAMMI media.com. So you can go on Dammi Media and click or podcast, everything.
I love it. Well, thank you for joining us today. I'm really excited about all the things that are going on in your career. As far as your branches, your book, your launch, and then your media storytelling through all of your streams. And so I appreciate you being here today. And again, don't forget, everybody, that you can follow her on Dammi Media. Thank you, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Dr. Lisa. You have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. That was Veronica Pearson from Dammi Media. She is accessible in the social media realm at Dammi Media, and her new book is out. I want to thank her for being with us today. Again, she is with the Dammi Media film streaming industry. And then if you are interested and you're in the area where she's having the Rich Auntie Brunches, be sure to pick up your ticket today. As far as Career Mastered, we are on our way to the Motor City. You know, it is rocking and rolling over in the D. And so we'll be at the Detroit Athletic Club, as I mentioned to you, with a wonderful conversation again with the multi-award winning Ariva Martin. And so I ask that you click in for the after view, because we'll have pictures up. And then for those that did not have a chance to get into the Charlotte brunch, the photos are online. The gallery is there for all to see. And we'll see you on our next tour. In the meantime, don't forget to pick up the Career Master magazine. It is still on sale at careermaster.com. And then the summer issue will be out in just a couple of weeks. And so we're headed into the next season. We look forward to seeing you next week when we have a new guest on the show. And again, thank you for all that you do. We appreciate you being with us. Until next time.